Well, hello everyone. Let's see, day 32, I believe. I'm starting to lose track of days, so if I get my numbers messed up a little bit, it's just because I'm out here, walking every day, and just lately it seems like every day is turning into the next day. But we're still making progress. I started out this morning in a little town called Rural Retreat. Oops, I don't want you to see the top of my head necessarily, but if you look real close, you can see where the brim of my hat is. It's a straw hat that supposed to keep the sun off, but some of the sun comes through the breaks in the straw, and I'm getting this waffled looking tan line right there. So just one of the hazards of the battle, I guess. But that's all right. I started in a little town this morning called Rural Retreat, and was hoping to make it to Withville as they call it here, which I've done, and actually was able to even surpass it a little bit by the help of the Virginia State Troopers Association. As it turns out, it's kind of cold and rainy this morning. I wasn't sure I was going to go because they've been threatening a lot of thunderstorms and things, but at the end of the day, I opted to go, and for the most part, it worked out pretty well. But as I was following 11, most of the time 11 kind of cuts under back and forth and parallels Route 81, but at this particular turn it turns right into Route 81, which really kind of surprised me. But I found myself all of a sudden out on the expressway, and I thought, well, rather than back up, which I didn't want to do, and then try to lose a lot of time, I figured I'll just make haste, book feet, and try to get to the next exit as quickly as I can, and get off the highway and get back onto either the access road or find my way back to Route 11. But as it turns out, as I'm walking along, the Virginia State Trooper pulled up next to me and beeped his horn. He was on the access road. There was a fence, and then there was me, alongside Route 81. So he called me over, and of course I complied with no problem. And he said that people were reporting that I was running back and forth in and out of the cars along the highway, causing this big ruckus. And I told him, "Officer, I assure you it was not me. I don't know who's telling you these things," but he said that there was a couple of other police cars out there looking for me, I guess. And I told him I've been walking along the edge trying to get off this thing. As soon as I can find either a break in the fence or get down to the next exit, I want off, because I really don't want to be walking on the expressway. And so he checked me out. He gave my license, and he wanted to know if I had ID, which I did, and checked me all out. And then he said, "Well, you're walking for a cause," and we talked about that, and he was in big agreements with that. He said that's a worthy cause. And he got a call on the radio, and he said, "Okay, hang on here, and I'll come back around and get you." And I said, "Okay." So he took off, and I thought, well, let me keep walking, and then I'll just be that much further to the exit, and then he can come around and get me, and we won't be that much further to go. I want to take him out of his way. Well, as it turns out, at the same time, maybe a half a mile up ahead of me, there's another guy on the highway, a homeless gentleman by the looks of things, because I did see him, who was the guy that was running in and out of the traffic and, just doing kind of crazy stuff. So they had him all pulled over, and they finally realized that it wasn't me. And they checked him all out, and then the trooper came back and kind of told me what was happening and that everything checked out. I said, "Well, great." He said, "Hang on, I'll come around and get you." So he came around and threw me in the squad car and drove me off the expressway, which I very, 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 very much appreciated. And just want to say to Officer Michael, I appreciate your graciousness and your goodwill and helping me out there, because I honestly did not want to be on Route 81. It's very much unnerving when you're walking and you've got 18-wheelers zipping by at whatever the speed limit is, but probably a little bit more than the speed limit. It's just kind of freaky. And when they're loaded down at 60, 70,000 pounds or whatever, and the wind will just about knock you right off your feet. So I appreciate you helping me out and being very understanding and getting me off the expressway. Also bumped into a gentleman named Jimmy Fry. Oddly enough, I knew a Jimmy Fry down in Punta Gorda, Florida. He owned a cabinet making company. Great guy, great family. And but this is a different Jimmy Fry. And we used to call Jimmy Fry down there, we used to call him Fry Baby. Well, this guy tells me that they call him Fry Daddy. And he's in his 70s and just a great guy. We had a great conversation. He helped me out. I needed a little bit of help. It was starting to rain, so he helped me out there. And just very much appreciated his camaraderie in our conversation. And again, most of the people I talk to, when I start to bring up what it is we're doing, they are foursquare behind it. So that's very, very, very encouraging to me. So I hope to see both of you guys on Team America, both you, Jimmy, and Officer Mike. Appreciate all that you've done to help me out when I really, really needed it. A lot going on in the news. I mean, I don't even know where to start, and probably won't get through a whole bunch of it. And I know that you guys, I'm sure that you guys are up on this stuff, but it's just, it's just mind blowing when you look at the fact that they're trying to push this cap and trade with climate, the whole climate gate thing, saying that it's the most critical thing and that the world's coming to an end, and in 5 years the glaciers are going to melt and polar bears are eating each other, and I mean, it's just absolute disaster, gloom and doom. So what does the administration do? They put climate gate on hold so they can address the illegal immigration issue. Now, I've been saying right along that the whole issue of illegal immigration is simply to garner votes. Well, this absolutely 150% proves the point that beyond the planet self-destructing because of man's carbon footprints being too big, which is mainly Al Gore, by the way, his footprint is bigger than most, they're willing to put that on hold and try to address the illegal immigrants, not because they want to pass immigration reform, because they need their votes in November. So for all of you people that voted for hope and change, thinking Obama was going to change things, you should now be waking up to the fact that it's politics as usual. And in fact, it's more than politics as usual, because this particular president is very left radical. So you need to ask yourself, do you want a socialist Marxist country to live in? Because that's exactly where this administration is taking us. And it's all politics. Nothing has changed except for the fact that this president wants big government on steroids. Bush wanted big government as well, and so have many of the politicians ahead of him. But this president is taking it to a new level. There is not one single solution that this president can come up with that does not involve government takeover, including the mining disaster. Now look, it was a horrible thing. But the owner of that company saying, look, we did everything we can do. But like he said, it's a dangerous job. Everybody knows it's a dangerous job. And it's not to say that our hearts do not go out to those families. But of course, Obama comes in and says, okay, we're going to have to regulate this now. Every single solution, no matter what it is, involves more federal government. And now he's speaking out against Arizona taking charge of their borders. And he's now vilifying Arizona, which passed it 70% of the people want some sort of immigration protection. And who gets all the protection? The illegals are getting all the protection, and the people that are here legally, especially if they're not Hispanic or Mexican, are getting vilified. And we got Big Al going down there, going to do a march to uphold the civil rights of people who are here illegally. It just doesn't make sense. And I've got to ask the question. I'm not trying to be a cynic here, but you got to ask the question: how traumatizing is it to have an officer walk up and say, "I need to see your papers"? I've been stopped many times at roadblocks where they're looking for people who have not had their car registered, people driving without licenses, and people driving drunk. You pull up, you have your documentation, you show it to them. It's not a big deal. This is not something that's going to impact these people for the rest of their lives, and it's going to damage their psyche somehow, because a police officer came up and asked them if they could show him their legal documentation. So, again, what we're doing is we're hiding behind this political correctness, but the truth of the matter is we have a flood of millions of people entering this country illegally, and that's the issue. So I'm saying to the legal immigrants here who are Hispanic, you should be most upset, because these people are the ones giving you a bad rap, not us. But we have a right to defend our borders. We have a right to go after people who are here illegally. Okay? And they say, well, they're trying to feed their families. I understand that. So is the guy that robs the corner store to get some money to maybe buy bread and milk for his family. So do we let those people off? Okay, illegal is illegal, and it's time that we start to recognize this, and we need to do it together, unified, not not separately. Out of time. Talk to you soon. God bless.